Welcome back to the Don't Write That Book podcast, where you can learn how to write your bestseller and own your authorship. Follow along with us as we give you an insider's view of the book industry. Now, here are your hosts, myself, Mike Michalowicz, and AJ Harper. It is 5 degrees, and you're north of me, technically, northeast.
Yeah.
What's your temperature today?
I don't know, man. Frigid. I got up and did the faucet trick.
So we did it too, because our pipes froze, and we're in a newer house. When I say newer, this was built in the 90s, this house. But one room, it's our master bathroom, if it drops to 10 degrees Fahrenheit or less, it will freeze the pipes. And so I called the plumber, and he goes, well, I got 2 solutions for you. One, we got to tear down the wall. Other, he's like, just leave the cabinet doors open in your, where you have the sink. And he goes, that may just be enough heat. And so we're testing it out today. Conversely, you were sharing, disaster has struck. What went down?
I can't believe I'm giggling about it because I had a total mental breakdown a week ago about it. But so this was not due to pipes, though. At our house at the lake. So I have an alarm system there, and cameras, and the alarm system tells me whenever the guys come over to check on the house. So I have people who check on the house regularly. And then I could see a lot of activity. And so it's cool because I can open up my camera to see the back porch to see what they're doing, you know? And I don't really spy, but I sometimes get curious about what it's like. How much snow do we get? You know, stuff like that. And I can hear the sound of slopping water.
You could hear it over your cameras?
Here's the guy walking through water, and then I start seeing him grabbing stuff and putting it on the porch.
Oh, no.
Dog bed and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay. And then to the credit of the builder and because it's my builder's team that checks on the house. You know this. There's 400 people on the island. Like, you know, they all have multiple jobs. Anyway, they were there within half an hour. They were just like a whole crew. And they did everything they could to get it out. It turns out that a boiler malfunctioned, which then caused an overflow, into the septic system, which then overflowed and then kept, like, all of this just kept running. I mean, no one's there, probably.
Yeah.
And then that soaked the ground in between the studio, and because the boiler's in the studio, and the house, and flooded the house. And thankfully,
Hold on, both buildings got hit?
Well, the studio didn't get flooded. There's a utility room in the studio, and that's where that house, it didn't make it into the...
Oh, so they pumped out of there into the house.
And then, but the thing is, thankfully, we had pumped out the septic before we left, so that it was clear water. But they still call it black water because it came from a septic, even though there was nothing in, you know. So I was in a meltdown mode. But thankfully, the insurance is covering it. But this is why I'm giggling, because, okay, this is Madeline Island. You think it's cold here? It's unbelievable there. Like, you're the 30 below, 40 below, like, no joke, okay? In fact, the contractor called yesterday about all this stuff, and he's like, what's the weather? Because that's how everybody, you know, that's all everybody wants to talk about. Yeah. I said, I'm really sorry, but it's 35 degrees. That was yesterday. And he was like, that's shorts weather for them, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, this is the funny part. The insurance company, it's all going to be fixed by the time we get there. So, but the insurance company, it was not fun until I figured out they were covering it. So that was not fun. The insurance company is going after, right? Like the failure of the equipment, of course. But it's so cold and the ice is so frozen up on the lake that the ferry's about to stop running. So here's in my email box, all these like stuff I'm CC'd on that's like litigators and engineers that are all trying to figure out, okay, wait, what's a wind sled? Because they have to get across on the wind sled to go investigate what happened at my house.
Oh, that's great.
And a wind sled, you should Google it, everybody. Google Madeline Island wind sled. It's like, it's not a boat, but it kind of is. And it's what they do in between having a ferry and an ice road. The ice road is when you can drive your car across, but there's a period of time when you can't do either. You can't be on the ferry because they stop running because they can't make it through the ice anymore. And then you can't drive. So there's a wind sled. And I'm just like, this is hilarious. It's all very formal, lawyerly, engineer language talking about how are they going to get across. And it's just, I find it, anyway, that's how I'm getting my humor. It's just these like hardy islanders that are,
I think it's absolutely brilliant. I hope they're talking about bringing food supplies, Eskimos, extra people in case they lose them during the journey, so they can procreate.
There's my contractor sent one email. Well, we'll get you to and from the wind sled. We got you there. We got you there.
Your home ownership of this extraordinary home on Madeline Island been a little bit like a George Foreman fight. It's just like gut punch. How bad do you want this? And
very bad.
You keep bouncing back.
Yeah, it's okay.
And it's going to be and it will be better. It somehow every time it comes out, it's even better than anticipated.
You know what? In the vast scheme of things and all the things that we're dealing with in the world right now, this does not matter.
Exactly. In the big picture, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Actually, and I love that I can get to a place of laughing about it, giggling at these emails going back and forth.
Yeah.
Within just a few days. So yay, human resilience.
Talking about resilience, you got to have that when you're launching your book.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're behind the 8 ball. So today we're going to talk about if you're launching your book and it's due the launch 12 to 18 months from today. You're listening to Don't Write That Book. I am Mike Michalowicz. My co-host is AJ Harper. We have collectively worked on 11. Turn it up to 11 titles together. And one thing I got to tell you, I admire about AJ is her resilience to life's events. You've experienced a lot of them, and yet you continue seeing through them and coming out even better.
Thanks.
Like every iteration.
Appreciate it. I'm told though from astrologers of all ilk that's over for me now starting in February. So.
Well, you've paid your dues, sister. I think the next half, it should be easy coasting for you.
I'm doing it. I'm ready for the coast. I admired about you. You know what? You're the same though. You kind of roll. You roll with what's coming. You don't. I've never seen you crack. Have you cracked?
Rarely. You know who I admire so much? This aspect of his life was George Washington and his emotional thermometer and the necessity of that. I think emotion in the moment can be packed away if you want and reserved for a different time. But people that don't have that emotional throttle, I've seen like blow up the situation and make it worse.
Yeah.
Because they're. So I have the ability to swallow it, not to ignore it, but to swallow it and hold it, which it often deflates as time goes on anyway. So
I just talked over you terribly, but this makes me think you're reading about George Washington.
I did finish his biography, but did I tell you we went to his Fraunces Tavern in New York, where he gave effectively a commencement speech to the Revolutionary War to his generals. And so Chris and I went there, and you can tour the facility. The room where he spoke is still there, preserved, meaning you can't use it. And then you can eat there. There's a tavern below, the original tavern. But I'll say that for another episode. We got to dig into this.
We do, but in a minute, I got to tell you something. I've never invited you to do this, but just 5 minutes from my house is 1776 house. Have you been there?
So you told me to go there.
Oh, that's right. You already went there. I already sent you there.
And I'm eating in tears, and it was unbelievable.
That's right. I already sent you there. All right. I should know.
There's one portrait hanging upside down.
I should know by now that I have told you everything.
Yes. You've revealed it all.
All right. Let's go.
All right. So this is going to be a series of episodes that we're going to be exploring stuff like this on the book marketing and the business of authorship. You got a text from a listener. Do you mind sharing what that was all about?
Yes, this is from Top 3 Book Workshop alum Roseanne Campana-Hodge. I know she won't mind me sharing this with you. Her book is The Dysregulated Kid, and it comes out later this year. She said, so the letter from my intern is working for endorsements. It's definitely getting me some endorsements. Genius idea that you all had about Mike and his mother inspired me. Even when they say no, they write back something very nice. So she's got letters going out written as her intern. You know, instead of mom, it's the intern. Yeah. And it's working for her.
I love when someone here's an idea and then they package it that's congruent with who they are, as opposed to reject it and say, I can't do that. Good job, Roseanne. She's part of T3. Are you doing some more T3 related stuff this year?
Of course. We have a membership. I do mastercrafts all year. I've got my annual class. I've got readings. But the thing that's coming up right now that's free and super fun, and I only do it twice a year, is Writing Sprint Marathon. It's on March 21st. You do have to register. So if you're on my mailing list, ajharper.com is where you get on that list. You probably already know about it. You can go to my social media, or you can, if you want more information, email hello@ajharper.com. Check the show notes for this episode. Any of those things will get you a link to register for Writing Sprint Marathon.
I will be there myself. Actually, I booked it on my calendar. I don't think I'll be there for the entirety of it,
but I'll be there. You can come.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing. You don't have to be. But I will tell you, you have to show up. Like, you don't have to be there for the entire thing. You have to show up because it is a magical day.
It is.
And the Money Habit will have launched. Well, it's actually launching on, by the time this episode goes live, it's out there. So it's launching as of this recording, just a few days from now. So you can get the Money Habit at your favorite retailer. I promise you, it's a transformative book. And I can assure you, it is the biggest launch we've ever had because the pre-orders indicate that. But what we're going to do, AJ, on launch day is have a ticker, kind of like a QVC show, how many sold. We're going to be reporting that throughout the day.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a good number. I'm confident, but we'll see. We'll see how the day goes. Why? So today we're talking about this runway of 12 to 18 months. And I think people receive it two ways. I hear 12 to 18 months. My heart, I can feel it speeding up right now. That's not enough time. Conversely, I hear other authors go, oh my gosh, I'm not going to worry about the book marketing until 12 days or 18 days beforehand. Why does this time matter and runway matter?
Well, I think the chief reason is strategy. I just don't think that you have enough time to implement, first of all, to come up with a strategy and then implement it. What you're going to do is maybe come up with a strategy that you can't execute. Some things take a long time. I think having enough time to think it through and implement it, but also relationships. That's not something you can rush. If you've got a short runway, you're dealing with the relationships you already have. If you have a longer runway, you can build some and maybe nurture some that are not as warm as they could be. And so then now you're expanding that leverage.
Talking about relationships, it's interesting. I will receive a contact. Usually it's email. And email, I don't even monitor my own email. The majority of it, Amy does. And someone will reach out and say, hey, Mike, we met like 7 years ago and so forth. And I have a new book coming out. Hey, would you promote it for me? Don't remember who this person is. There's been no contact for 7 years. Amy just admittedly will ignore them or delete them, or they go into an archive for me to look at one day, and maybe I'll see it 2 years later.
Yeah.
conversely, there's a fella, his name is David Schnurman. He's writing a new book called 11 Suitcases. It's a memoir, and it's about a commitment he and his family made to move from New York City to Barcelona, and what their experience was like, the good, the bad, the ugly. And he called yesterday. He's like, hey, the book's coming out. He's like, would you mind marking for me? It's coming out in like a month or two. I'm like, yeah, dude, because I talk to David Schnurman every 3 months. We do texts and stuff, like funny jokes. We'll do calls together. He's going to have his way to support me. He called me proactively about the Money Habit and said, hey, I heard it through the grapevine. You got a book coming out, dude. Why didn't you tell me? I want to promote it to my community. He's not a famous author. He doesn't have a massive readership list, quite the opposite. But I will do anything to support David Schnurman. So it just points to the fact that the best way to build a relationship, if you want to garner benefit and make a big ask, like, could you promote me? Could you endorse me? Is go out of your way to support this person. Even if you don't have a massive list or any kind of list, do whatever is within your power to earnestly and honestly support them. And the nature of reciprocity will come back to you.
Agreed. But if you're on but you need a long runway for that.
You need runway. Yeah. And David Schnurman, it's been 15 years. It's been 15 years of a relationship. And now he's making his first ask. You know?
I definitely will tell you, I hoard my own asks.
You what? You hoard?
Like, it's not intentional.
You're an ask hoarder?
That sounds bad.
I know.
Make sure you have the K.
Yeah, oh, you got to, that's what I was about to say. Don't. You really got to enunciate that K.
You ask. Do. No, I don't often ask.
Yeah.
So that's a separate, you know what? We should do a whole episode on the art of the ask.
We'll title it Ask Hoarding.
Oh, maybe I'm going down. This is getting worse. But we should do a whole episode on how do you ask.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. It's surprising to me how many people ask in a way that is legitimately offensive, and then it becomes conflict because if there's no response, why aren't you responding? And then conversely, if there is a response and a decline or an alternative reduced, a conflict. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You're burning your bridge out of this? This is the hill you're going to die on? It's actually fascinating. Give me some other reasons to have long runway.
Well, one thing is you won't overload your team, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, if
what is who's on your team? Like, what's a good author team?
All right. This is a point of contention because not everybody has money for a team, right? So I think it's unrealistic to do it completely solo. But you're just going to have to take a break from a lot of other things. On my team, it's my 2 employees, Laura and Sade, who are amazing. And then if there's a launch, there's probably also some, there's the graphics people that are coming in to make sure all the media the marketing assets are created. Because my team can do some of it, but that it can overload them if there's too much they have to do. So there's the person who's making a website for the book. Then there's potentially you might have somebody who's organizing a specific event if it's a big event. I know you have someone doing that for your big 12 hours. Mm-hmm. So, it just depends on how big your launch is. But the point is, if you've got employees or assistants or even vendors that you're working with as subcontractors, when you rush them or ask too much of them, it's hard.
I'm making notes for future episodes. I've been horrific with this. So I wrote down the ask, but also the team. I think this is a whole episode. I'll tell you who's on my team. So my team, by the way, one more question for you first. Your 2 people, are they full-time for you or contractors? They're full-time.
But I'm running a whole business with them. And
okay. So it's not just your book business.
No. And I've definitely, tested their patience about how, not being as organized as I could be or on time as I could be. So I think this is really on my mind right now about how important it is to be prepared. And the only way to be prepared is to allow yourself enough runway.
Afford yourself time. Yeah. So for us, the team, same thing is there's book sales. There are speaking revenue. There's sponsorship partnerships. There's the marketing of all that stuff. There's courses and classes. So this is the entire kind of universe of authorship. I have collectively 6 additional people on my team, all minus 2 are part-time, but one person, Lee, is my speaking agent, Lee Hayes. By the way, if you're looking for an extraordinary speaking agent, it's goleeward.com with a major caveat here. She's not engaging anybody unless you're an extraordinary speaker. So like Jessie Cole from the Savannah Bananas is one of her speakers. So she's difficult to get, but maybe she could direct you. She gives courses and so forth on raising or elevating your platform. So check out goleeward.com. I have Andrea, who leads our marketing efforts, partnerships, and so forth. We have Amy, who's managing my email, shipments, and all this different stuff. Aaron, my personal scheduler. Kelsey, who runs our organization. So, and it goes on. Adela's on our team. There's a lot of folks working in this universe. And the Money Habit, we started the marketing planning 24 months literally 24 months ago, 2 years in advance of this. And we're still feeling the crunch like, we wish we had another 6 months to get this out. So it just gives you a sense of you can choose to do very little and you can rush it out and get very little impact, or you can articulate all these moving components to work together. And to your point, the more time, the better. And we're pulling it off. There's no question about it. But there's still a little bit of this heart race at the end that more time would have afforded this, I think, a little bit easier flow.
Yeah. I think also if you have a longer runway, you can do a bigger launch day or launch week event.
Yeah, we have 2 banks like backing this, and you can't call them up and say, hey, next week we have a launch. We started this discussion a year ago so they can organize or coordinate with what they got going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just, we have our launch coming up January 27th. I know this is already live by that point, but to call a bank a year in advance, they already have plans for January 27th, a year later. So they're like, okay, here's what we can do to restructure our marketing to complement that. And there's also discussions about what's the win-win. Like, yes, we want to support you, Mike, because we like you, but how are we coming out in front? And that all had to be negotiated.
Yeah. So, I mean, just thinking about that takes, you have to have it's just so much coordination.
Yeah.
So much coordination.
Yeah.
Also, I would say the monetization. So sometimes part of your launch is tied to the business model, right? So
yes.
Yeah. So you're launching a licensing program, you're in conjunction with your licensee. So they're doing their own launch stuff related to you. There's, so you have to get that all in place. There's might be courses or programs you are creating that come in conjunction with that. So that's a lot of sorting out, building. If you're launching a program to coincide with the launch of the book or to just have available because of the book exists, that's a massive endeavor.
Dude, and we're missing the biggest thing. Plus, you need the time to write a must read from cover to cover before all this stuff happens.
Oh God, I love it. I'm at this point, I'm gonna be interesting to see how you weave that stuff in, because I was just talking with people at one of my writing sprints about.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but in the last couple episodes, you agreed to walk around with a sandwich board.
100%. I totally remember. Yeah, I'm in. I do. I am in.
Okay, so now I'm just laughing every time you bring it up. It's like
you have to buy the supplies. Like right, but I will go into New York City, Times Square, next to Creepy Elmo, and have a sandwich board that says whatever you want to say about write a must read.
We were thinking the latest brainstorm was like maybe it would just be the book cover.
Oh my gosh, I'm so in on that.
We should have everybody doing that, just walking around with their book covers off their bodies.
I love it. I'm in. I'll walk around New York City. Listen, it's great exercise. I'll walk around for 2 hours around New York City with a sandwich board.
I'd like to see you go up and down the subway steps in it. And the thing is, New Yorkers will say nothing. As long as you're moving quickly, they're fine. All
right. So total diversion from what we're talking about. Guess what I walked around New York City in for a television show, and no one flinched. I think I actually shared it with you once before.
Well, I believe it was with Greg, right? You were in a wedding dress?
I was in a wedding dress with Greg. Yeah, you're a friend.
My friend Greg,
so
who had a wedding.
And there's cameras filming and stuff, and not a single person flinched.
Wedding dress? Dude in a wedding dress?
Boring. Guy in a wedding dress? Boring.
Not even a thing. My greatest, before we get back to it, here are my two greatest on the subway New York moments where nobody said anything. Number one, entire tree on the subway. I don't mean like a little small thing. I mean like a tree that had to bend over to fit.
Oh, that's great.
No one said anything. Second, Xerox machine. Like full on 1989 big old beast of a Xerox machine. Two guys pushing it on the subway car.
It's so great.
Yeah. No one said a thing.
All right. With our window, that 12 to 18 months, in the notes you mentioned trade distribution. This is still something that goes over my head every time. Why is that important? How's that work?
Well, if you have trade distribution, so not everybody does. If you're self-published, you likely don't have it. If you're with a lot of hybrids, you likely don't have it. And if you're with some traditional publishers, you may not even have it. But let's say you do. They're on a long runway themselves because they're pitching to all the stores way before the book gets there. And if you want them to care enough about your book to highlight it, you have to get their attention before they're making their pitches. So you just have to reverse engineer that. If you're wondering, wait, when is all this happening? Ask. Just ask your publisher, when is the sales team pitching, actively going in to try to get books on shelves? When are they pitching Barnes & Noble? When are they pitching Target? When are they doing this? Find out what the cutoff is for when they're going to choose your print run, because that's a big moment. And then you have to go backwards and try and get their attention during the window before big decisions are made. Because what you want is a sales team that wants to feature you, focus on you, emphasize you. If they feel like there's buzz about your book, they will want to ramp it up. But they have dozens and dozens of books they're trying to sell. So they're going to have favorites. It's a democracy. And if you have enough time, you can focus on this window when you are having to get their attention, which is a very specific thing, different than front-facing marketing. This is all happening behind the scenes, and you have to get them to say, who's this dude? Who's this person? And so that they want to add gasoline to that fire.
I just had a new marketing idea. I got to let it cook a little bit, but I'll share. Well, I'll share just kind of what was triggering it. Barnes & Noble's, we actually had them place a subsequent order with us because of anticipating demand, because we're working the trade distribution much better. We had a surge of orders go in through Barnes & Noble's to have them take notice. And they noticed, and now it's triggering an idea how to actually do something that I've never done before. Building visibility, obviously, we're talking about this throughout, is the more time you have, the more time you can build visibility. The question I struggle with, AJ, is if you become aware of my book too early, does that build or destroy the precipice moment of the launch? Does that dissuade you from buying? Do you buy and then you forget? Like, could you build visibility too soon with your readers?
I don't think you can build it too soon, but I think you can have too many asks too soon.
Oh, that's good. That's so great. That's perfect. Okay. You nailed it so succinctly. Increasing your chances to get a national bestseller list. How many of your authors through T3 are pursuing national bestseller lists? How many folks is this important to, and does it have an impact?
Quite a few, actually. I mean, last year, I think we had 13 authors publish, and I think we had 5 national bestsellers.
Wow.
And then one who was on the Canadian bestsellers, multiple Canadian bestsellers, Care Poppet. So Dr. Sunita Sa, Dr. Caber Knight, Dr. Katie Allen Wood. I'm forgetting something. Anyway, the point being, I have, that's a kind of a big number for my group because not everyone wants it and not everyone is, a lot of people are self-published and it's much harder to do when you're self-published. But this year, I have a few people with it on their mind. Like I mentioned, Razan Kapanahanj, the text from her, she's on that mission.
What's interesting is I'm noticing the longer the runway, the more you kind of get into the ethos of the conversation. So what I'm noticing is some of my most committed readers, but also some influential experts are already mentioning the money habit within their communications. So I've been talking about the book for over a year, for about 2 years, to be honest, but in earnest, probably about 18 months. And I've been sharing insights from it, and people are already deploying it and using it in their own work and referencing it. I got one more mega one, but I want to save it as the last kind of bullet point to put emphasis on it in this list. Is there anything else? Any other benefits of a long runway?
Yeah. Listen, if you don't have a lot of money, so you can't, throw a bunch of thousands of dollars at your launch, then you need the longer runway. So if you don't have the money, take more time because you're going to be doing a lot of things DIY. So it's a huge benefit to you to just take more time on the launch. You can actually get a lot done on your own DIYing. It's just hard to do in a short time frame.
I'll tell you the biggest benefit, this is the big one that I've discovered, is the more time you afford yourself, the more you get into the ethos of technology, the SEO and AIEO. Is that, if that's the right term? But if right now you type in the money habit on your favorite search engine, you will likely see the top 3 listings minimally for the money habit. And the ideal scenario, I call it the page grab, is the entire search result is around you. So it's maybe the link to Amazon, maybe it's a couple articles about it, maybe it's your own website, et cetera, et cetera. Most people, when it comes to Google search, when I say most, I think like 99.9% pick their navigation from that first page. Very rarely do people go to the second page or third page. So you got to be on the first page and you got to be near the top. So you have to afford yourself time to get that. And then when it comes to AI, if you type in personal finance books, it's going to take a long haul to get there. Well, AI is reading and scraping all of these websites to see, are you in the ethos of other people's conversations and so forth? So you need that time to win AIEO. We have a podcast I've created. We've renewed for season 2 called Becoming Self-Made. I'm so proud of this podcast, by the way. It's awesome. It's about the journey of entrepreneurs and authors. And not rags to riches, but rags to wherever they are today and the challenges they're still facing. Kind of the ugly side as opposed to the Insta famous stuff you see constantly. If you type in Becoming Self-Made, there was other content that dominated that space, and we're slowly chipping away at it. But we're only like 4 or 5 months into it. It's going to take 12 to 18 months to own that. And the last thing I wanted to share, to me, the ultimate confirmation that all this marketing is working because you prepared for it is you start seeing retailers drop the price off of MSRP. It used to be Amazon was monitoring Barnes & Nobles, and Barnes & Nobles was monitoring Bookshop, and Bookshop was monitoring Amazon. And the second one did a price drop, they all would match instantly. That's not the game anymore. They look like they're no longer dropping that because they know it's a race to the bottom. What they're looking at is how many people are viewing your book on their page and how many people are clicking to make a purchase. If you have large volumes of people looking, maybe even putting in their cart but not making the purchase, they start manipulating the price to find out what's the optimal conversion. Which means if you start seeing price drops, they're trying to optimize around your book, which means you have enough volume that people are demanding it. If your book is selling at MSRP when the book launches, you have not built enough pre-demand to justify a price drop. So the money habit, again, I'm almost 2 years into marketing this thing. the price drop only happened on Amazon about 2 months ago. And it's not even significant. It went from retail 29 to I think 28 and 5 cents or something. And maybe it's less now, but the point is you got to be working it for those engines to start optimizing around it. And when the retail engines are optimizing around it, then they're very motivated to move the book and everything's coming into alignment.
I love that perspective. There's so few authors that are tracking any of that. And you're always tracking it. I love that.
Oh yeah, we report it in our huddle too. Like, what's our pricing at?
Yeah, I love that.
Is this, listen, you know me, I go over the top all in. But to me, that's what necessitates successful authorship. It's funny. I was at a conference in Atlanta, and after I did my presentation, they brought in, I guess, like the VIP group and did a private conversation with me. So it was maybe 20 entrepreneurs. And one of the entrepreneurs says, I want to become an author. I want to sell the volume of books like you're selling. How do you do it? And the number one thing I said, well, tell me, I said, we're going to do the Uber trick. If you get into an Uber car, I said, and the Uber driver while driving says, what do you do for a living? What's your response? Like, what do you do for a living? And she goes, well, I'm an educator, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay. And it's very interesting. She goes, and I've written a book about this. I'm like, if you don't lead by saying I'm an author and then shut your pie hole, you are not committed at the right level. It's got to be your true identity, because then we align with it. That's my overarching thing, is if you don't see yourself as an author, period, and everything else is just is the add-on asterisk to your life, you ain't there, in my opinion.
Okay, I'm going to give you a counterpoint. I think a lot of people don't I think that the book is really important to them and they do want to sell, but it is part of an ecosystem. It's part of what they do. It's not the thing. And so, I still think you can sell a lot of books and, of course, write a good book and have a great career as an author if you don't consider that your first identifier.
Okay. In that case, does this plan get modified if it's not your first identifier?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I feel you need to set book sales goals based on your book itself and the mission you're trying to accomplish with that book, but also whatever financial goals you have, etc. That all of that plays into it. And then also your set of resources, because we have to have some realism. We have to have some, look, you say you want to sell 1 million books, you have to understand the trade-off for that.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're talking about when you say, are you an author with a capital A? Is that your main deal? What you're really saying is, are you accepting the trade-off? And, right? So
that's exactly true.
So I think if you put it in the terms of, let me look, okay, what is my life going to look like if I'm trying to get to 1 million books sold? I'm just picking this number. So I think the answer is you can still be successful. You can still sell a lot of books, even if your identity is not all wrapped up in authorship. You just need to sit down and have a custom sales goal that is related to this book, your own set of resources, and your financial goals. And doesn't sound like that person who asked you the question has any clue what any of those things are for themselves. They're just looking at what you have and wanting that, but not really considering, first of all, if it's even possible with the book they're writing.
Correct. Yeah, not going with planning. I mean, those VIP sessions are a little bit difficult because you're allowed one question that will hopefully change your whole life. And I couldn't sit down and learn from her and her objectives. But sadly, that one question is, I think, how many aspiring authors or established authors go into their marketing. What's the magic bullet? Let's pretend we were doing a brand new book together. But the book is titled whatever, and the book is written, but now we're in the marketing plan. the very first thing we do is, and I want to be clear for our audience, you and I partner on the writing and production of the book. You do support our marketing, but the marketing lead that's an internal responsibility for us. And I rely on you for additional content, additional ideas. So you bring in ideas from the outside that I haven't done. And you support the launch. You communicate with your own community. But the lead of the planning and organizing is internal. And so we have a meeting in-house. It's Kelsey, our president, and Andrea, who's our marketing lead. And the first thing we sit down and say, who are we serving with this? Which you and I already developed, so we have clarity about this. And what has worked in the past to serve this community? Now, you and I already identified this is what the community needs next. So we don't need to address that. But who's the community we're serving, and how have we served them or given exposure to books in the past? The Money Habits and expansion, it's the entrepreneurial community is the heart of this. But it is not when I say the heart, it's the heart of who I spoke with in the past and served in the past. They will benefit from this book, but they're not the sole beneficiary. There's anyone who earns an income and wants to manage their money better, and wants to get control and authority over their money will benefit from this. So we define the who and then the hows. The mistake I've made in the past is say, oh, here's like the 100 things we did that worked. And yeah, 100 things worked, but they worked to different degrees. Of the 100 things, 80 of them sold maybe a book here and a book there. 5, maybe 10 things moved hundreds or thousands of books. Andrea has been extraordinary in saying, let's not do 100 scattershot things. Let's nail a few. And I'll just go back to the essence of what works, and then the one little caveat we do. Right now, your own email list, your own community, as long as they're an engaged community and you've been serving them, still, dollar for dollar is the best sales mechanism. We're 30 years into email existing, and it still is the best sales mechanism. So our own list. The second best sales mechanism is other people's email list who earnestly want to market our book. Those two combined, I would say maybe move 50% of our sales during the launch period. The next thing is podcast appearances. Now, if you have your own podcast that's established and very popular, your own podcast is the best. Other podcast appearances are very effective. As long as those podcasts speak to your community and that community has trust in that host to recommend books. The challenge is there is in the entrepreneurial space, for example, a few major podcasts. Hopefully, becoming self-made is one of them. It is one of the top 10% downloaded in the world right now. If you want to be a guest on Becoming Self-Made, I feel like a schmuck saying this, but you can't. There is now a vetting mechanism. There's a team that's selecting candidates. Is really difficult to get on there. And this is true, I think, for all the major shows. But the small shows, they may be hungry for great guests. So I think in podcasts, we're in the quantity game. Bulk buys. This is the one you push. Who are the organizations, groups, associations that want to buy many books simultaneously as pre-orders? And then we always pick, I try to do something new. And we have a few things we're dabbling in, so it's not going to be 5. But we did the mom campaign again. That did give us some results. We are doing our first time a 12-hour summit. 50 guests are coming on, all from the personal finance space or akin to it, to present. As of a week ago, we had 1,100 people already registered. We hadn't started promoting it aggressively yet. We're anticipating 3,000 registrants.
Oh, okay. How many?
1,100 registrants so far for the summit. And we anticipate about 3,000 by the time the summit comes about. And what we're doing is it's like a QVC show. So you're going to be on there.
Yeah.
AJ. And we're inviting everyone to come on for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes in certain cases. Jean Chatsky's coming on. I love her work because I followed her since the Today Show back 25 years ago, talking about personal finance. We're encouraging those guests to promote to their own audience. And when you come on, we're going to promote your thing. So, what's the selfish benefit, if you will, for the guests? So we're going to promote your thing, but we're also going to have this constant count, like a QVC show or one of those dial-ins back on PBS where they're trying to raise money. Hey, we have more callers coming in, more books sold. So we're going to talk about that.
That's cute. I'm excited I'm excited to see. I've actually sent an email out to my community because my community is authors and aspiring authors, that they should register just to see how you do it.
And 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And 100%. The usage of, and so we have milestones as we move along, pre-orders.
Can we pause? That's a huge endeavor. I'm not organizing that event, but I am in that event. And so I'm seeing all the emails, all the coordination. You had to bring another person on just to do that coordination for that event part-time.
Yeah, Marco, yeah.
And so that is a reason again to have the long launch runway. So
that event alone started, I think 4 months back now, where we said, okay, we're committing to this. I had to reach out to we identified all the people that qualified. We identified top 100 of people that we want on the summit, who I already have rapport with for at least a year, but ideally 10 years. So that, I didn't reach out to, famous Susie Orman. Susie Orman is extraordinary, and wow, what a win that would be. She has no clue who I am. She has no clue I'm a super fan, and I just don't have rapport with her. So we didn't even pursue stuff like that. And what's the likelihood of that happening? Would she promote her own list? Then once we had the list, I started the outreach and transferred it to Marco, saying, hey, if you're interested, here's Marco. And then Marco organized it. There's tons of moving parts. Just 2 weeks ago, we started platform testing. We're using StreamYard.
Mm-hmm.
We did 2 trial runs already, like a trial presentation and day. And there was lots of glitches and problems. So there's all this buildup. Throughout, there's milestones, and the milestones are the big thing is the marketing of the book package itself, the dust cover, the endorsements, and so forth. Then it comes the community, assembling a street team, assembling influencers to market via email, coordinating our own email communication. And then there's this milestone of what's the big new thing we're doing, and it's this launch thing. So we had to move these things along. Part of it, you don't know. We don't know if this is going to result in a single book sale. We are highly confident it will. Back to our grand debate over pre-orders. Pre-orders have been very helpful to see that we're making progress and how retailers are getting engaged in this.
Yeah. I'm curious about how much time you think your team spends on planning when you have a 12 to 18 month runway. I'm sure it ramps up.
I would say, I got to say percentage basis. I would say, I'm just going to say 10% of their time is in planning. In the very beginning, we plan, but then there's dynamic planning. And that's where most of the time in planning is spent. Oh, what we thought would come through is not coming through. For example, we have an extraordinary website designer who got hired 2 years ago by a corporation, and they discovered she is so good, we're going to take all her time. So she's impossible to get hold of. And we've used her for so long. And now we don't have a website designer. It's like, oh, we got to pivot. So we moved for a lot of our stuff to, I think it's Entreport. I can't remember what the technology is, to set up pages and stuff like this. So there was a learning curve, and we're adjusting our multi-book offer a little bit, not what we're offering, but how it's being positioned, because that dynamic happened. Listen, our house didn't get flooded, cough, 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 but we have to pivot. So there's a lot of dynamic planning that happens. People, listen, the launch show, when we do this, we know someone is not going to connect because they forgot, even though they've been reminded. Their internet went down, because that happens all the time. This is a live show. So there's contingency planning that's going on. And we have contingencies for contingencies. So here's a little scenario we went through. Person can't connect. What are we doing? We have readings prepared that I'm going to cut live to me and say, hey, let's read a chapter. What if someone can't connect and Mike's in the bathroom when this happens? Like literally a contingency for the contingency. Then we're cutting to Kelsey or Andrea sharing behind the scenes of, let's tell you something that's going on that even Mike doesn't know about. What about a contingency for a contingency? What if everyone's disconnected? Well, then we have a slide that comes up and says we're on intermission. So we have plans. We have 2 studios. We have my home studio and the office studio ready to go. So we have multiple internet connections and still things could still go haywire. But that's the planning.
So again, that's another example of having enough time to think all of that through. By the way, why do you think you get to go to the bathroom?
Exactly.
12 hours, man.
Who did that filibuster? The governor from New Jersey or the mayor from Newark?
Cory Booker.
Yeah, he wore adult diapers. He was not allowed to leave the stage. He intentionally did not drink any fluids to dehydrate himself, so he gets filibuster for...
That's going to be you. No
26 hours or something?
No, nothing.
Yeah, I'm not that level. That's varsity.
Let's just get a quick overview, just quick. What do you think are the primary areas to focus on if you have 12 to 18 months? I'm going to say I want to see bulk sales so you can ramp up pre-orders, hopefully connected to BookScan so it's reporting for you. And I'm going to say relationships. And I'm going to say get all of your marketing materials and digital assets done. What else do you think are the big things to focus on in 12 to 18 months?
I would say your own list and preparing them, delivering value. There's a book by Gary Vaynerchuk called Jab, 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 Right Hook. It's about serving, and then going for the ask. That I think is so overlooked. I double check mark your relationships. This is where you hopefully are in the position to make the ask because you have to afford them time too. People are not waiting for the call from you saying tomorrow's go day. Let's do this. So you need to give them advance notice. 6 months, I find, is the ideal time frame to start asking people, but even 12 months in advance. So those relationships better be strong. You better be in their whatever orbit, and wanting to help you, and start just being public about it. So for me, I've been doing keynotes now on the Money Habit for about a year. You should be doing keynotes 5 years before your book comes out, so you can hone the craft. And we've been touching on it and working on it. I've been living the system, but being hired specifically for keynotes, it's been in this last year that it's really ramped up. So those would be the ones I would focus in on.
Any disadvantages of a long runway? I can think of 0 disadvantages.
Yeah. I've seen it. People flame out. So there's certain people that just can't stick with it. And I think it's okay to recognize that. Many entrepreneurs I know get so hyped up, you better, with their new idea, but then seeing it through is a real struggle for them. So to offset that, I would say you better get a team in that's going to be the integrators if you're going to be the visionary, whatever. Secondly, you move from this long runway into short sprints so you don't burn yourself out or give up on it. That's the worst. All this hype and then it fades away before the book even launches.
I mean, I'm curious about this. When you see that whole plan put together, because I've seen your stuff, your big intricate spreadsheet,
the spreadsheets
all
and
the
stuff,
tab, all the columns. What does that feel like to you? The excitement or nervousness or both? Yeah,
definitely nervous that can we handle everything. So the way we've addressed that is by reducing variability. Kudos again to Andrea. She brought in relationships that are extraordinary. There's a company called Kik. And Kik is a AI-based accounting platform. It's remarkable. And they've become an extraordinary supporter. Relay, who I've been working with for the longest time, I love them up, down, and in between. And she's like, it's the relationships with these companies, because we're all serving the same community, that's so much more valuable than everything else. So reduce the variability. The variability makes me nervous, and the focus and concentration reduces the nervousness around variability, but increases the nervousness about, will these few things work? Because we're only doing a few things. So I can't ever avoid the nervousness. The excitement, it's not there for me. I'm excited. I want to do such a good job. The excitement happens afterwards. I don't know if this is like how, at least for me, for sports, I wasn't excited to go play a game. I was excited once the game was over that I put my best effort into it, even if the outcome wasn't a win. And I think, it's actually like with business. I think I told you my tradition. Every January 1st or January 2nd, I come into the office when we're closed, and I literally lay on the floor and just kind of look up at the ceiling and just take it all in. And I walk up and I walk around to every cubicle, every office in there, and just show appreciation and just feel what the year was like. So for me, it's ironic maybe or weird, but the excitement comes in reflection, not in the moment. How about you? Do you get excited before, after, between, ever? Is it all nervousness?
You know me. I do get excited. And the thing I'm excited about is I love hearing from readers.
Mm-hmm.
That is so cool. And that's the thing I'm really excited about. I also tend to, in my launches, bring my students in, highlight people I care about. So I'm trying to also promote their stuff. And that always jazzes me up. If any time that I can shine a spotlight on the authors I work with, which I usually make that part of my launch, now I'm ready to rock. But if it's just about me, no, I'm not excited at all.
Isn't that funny? And let me tell you something, because that just reminded me, the greatest form of excitement I get too is from readers. So, and I've shared this before, I set up a loop. When people read a book, they can email me. So I'm like, let's load my email right now. 3 minutes ago, an email came in from Kathy. I won't say her last name. And she's reading Profit First and thanking me. But another person, Asse, I won't say, emailed just an hour or two before that saying, it was a longer one. This is such a great book from Estonia. So Say from Estonia just emailed me. And then Matthew, Craig, Kenny, Rosa, all today have emailed committing to Profit First or some Clockwork people and some all-in people. So I've set up, I call it a feedback loop, because my love languages is words of affirmation. That gets me excited. Every time I get an email, it makes me feel electric. That's kind of funny. The excitement's after the book.
Yeah.
Anything else on this topic, AJ? Did we nail it?
I think we did. And I want to point out that next week we're doing a second part in this, which I think is really important, which is if you only have 3 to 6 months out. So not what do you do if you had 12 to 18 months and now you're at 3 months? What if all you had was 3 to 6 months?
Yeah.
Then what do you do?
You know what I'd like to explore when we do that too is, do you really only have 3 to 6 months? I mean, if something's news...
You're trying to expand it or trying to change it already.
I'm just saying, if it's news specific, if it's world event specific, maybe. I have authors that say, I got to get this book out in 3 months, and it's a self-set deadline, and they compromise everything. Actually, we talked about it on a prior episode. There is someone who's very well known in the entrepreneurial space, like 10 times more awareness than me or more. And they are under this artificial release. And I'm begging them not to do it. And it's falling on deaf ears. So
true. Totally agree. We are in agreement. And also, that's what my beautiful fairy godmother hairstylist says. And also, there are still people who only have 3 to 6 months for whatever reason. That's what they've got. So we're going to do a service to those people. How can you maximize that? What could you do?
I beg our reader or listeners of the show do one thing, and they get a copy of Write a Must Read right now. And listen, I say it all the time. And yes, I'll wear a sandwich board on this. But This show, you volunteer all your time to be here, AJ. We are not getting compensated. We did have one sponsor of 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Right? And that did net $250. Like, it did bring in massive cash to pay for us for this platform for 2 months. The greatest way you can honor us is to get AJ's book and gift it to a friend. So I know this is a big, bold ask, but would you please right now go onto your favorite retailer and buy Write a Must Read. Okay. This website, or our website's at DWTBpodcast.com. AJ's prepared free materials are waiting for you. You can join our email list. It's a great way for us to communicate with you when we have cool happenings going on. If you want to pitch us on a show idea, or you want us to share your story and give a shout out, just like we did a little earlier in this episode, email us at hello@DWTBpodcast.com. I'm overseeing an imprint called Simplified. It's an entrepreneurial imprint at Page 2. We are so proud of what we accomplished, and we are seeking additional authors for the imprint. If you speak to the entrepreneurial community, if you have a profoundly unique, simple idea, and you are going to go all in on authorship or already are, we should have a conversation. Thanks again for joining us for this episode. As always, the grand reminder from AJ herself, it's this.
Don't write that book. Write the greatest book you can.